viewpoints and beliefs presented on this program do not necessarily reflect those of the management, the affiliates and broadcast partners, or the sponsors. Listener discretion is advised.
Scarefest Radio, the radio you can see.
And hello and good evening, everyone, and welcome to Scarefest Television, the original broadcast date, March 28th, 2025. And tonight, first of all, I have a super special guest co-host coming in for tonight, Adam Johnson, because he's just so goddamn much fun.
Thanks, Wes. It's good to be here, buddy.
And I mean, you're in charge of a lot of people. Tonight, we're talking about volunteers. Therefore, our lovely guest, Lori Baker, is on board. She is in charge of keeping track of all of you minions. And so what we're going to do tonight, we are going to talk to Lori a little bit, and then we're going to actually explain what is expected of the volunteers, what is required of the volunteers. I guess you want me to fix that. That's what you're trying to tell me? Okay. And the kind of people we're looking for. There are some departments that it might not just pop into your mind that things that we need people for. So, we've got, it'll match any set of skills. So, to start off, Lori, welcome to the show. I can't believe all these years, this is your first time on Scarefest TV.
No, it's a big inaugural thing. Thanks for having me.
Well, thanks for coming on. I needed to fill a show, and I thought it was very, very appropriate to do this right before we open the volunteer applications, April 1st. So, see, it's what is it, Kismet or Karma when something like that happens? I don't know. Destiny. We'll use the word destiny. I know what that means. Okay, first of all, we want to find out. You're like the longest serving volunteer ever in the history of mankind.
The history, yes.
Tell us about you getting involved with Scarefest. How did that come about?
Well, it started in a little table at Taco Bell, which seems kind of appropriate. There was part of Ghost Chaser International, and we had a board meeting, and there was three of us that went to Taco Bell and was discussing how there was no horror conventions anywhere close to us. I think the closest was Horror Hound in Indiana. And, Kentucky was ripe for the pickings. We had a lot of celebrities here. And, of course, we all loved the paranormal, and combining horror and paranormal had never been done before. And so we were like, what if we could actually combine those two and bring something right here to Kentucky and make it happen? And so we were eating lunch, and it was just kind of like, what if we did this? What would we need to do? And so it was dreamed up around a table at Taco Bell. And Jeff Waldridge, it was a dream child of Jeff Waldridge, and then Patty Starr jumped on board, and they were the owners, and we just had a heck of a time pulling it all together. They call me Patient Zero, and I guess that's because I'm the last woman standing, and because patient being staff, and we're going to infect you with fun and all of that. So
actually, I've never heard anybody ever say that, just so you know. Not a single person.
I've heard it. I have heard it. It's hysterical. Absolutely hysterical. I mean, they were the ones that changed staff STAFF to staff STAPH.
Now that part I like. I like that. Okay. Okay. Now what's this about us being on the special features of the Friday the 13th DVD? I was not even aware of that.
Yes, actually, I have a copy right here. I think, that was the collector's edition, but I think it's on Friday 13th Part 2 DVD under special features. We had decided to come out with a bang in 2008. That was our first year with a Friday 13th reunion, and that had never been done. So they sent a film crew to Scarefest to interview the owners and to get like video footage and all that kind of stuff. And we are literally in the special features on that DVD.
I'm shocked that nobody had ever thought of it before.
I know, it's awesome.
It's like something we do every other year now.
And they contacted us. I mean, it was a big to do. We were like, what do we do? I mean, we had everybody from Friday 13th franchise. We had all the Jasons. We had Betsy Palmer. We had a Harry Manfredini. We had everybody that you could think of that we could possibly bring in. We brought in. And if I'm not mistaken, we also had a couple from other franchises. I think Tony Moran was also there in the first year. So we had a bunch, but it was just a love of ours. We've always loved Friday 13th, and that's always been like a little secret passion. And so we just decided, hey, let's make this happen. And so the film crew contacted us, and we were like, sure, come on down. It's fun.
Adam, over to you.
Absolutely. So, Lori, obviously, the volunteer schedule is getting ready to go live on April 1st. I know that now. And so when you apply, what do you do? What do you do to apply to be a volunteer for Scarefest? Like, I know you go to the website, you volunteer for the application, whatever. But what exactly are the steps are they going to take? What can they look forward to when they apply for us?
A big, huge headache. No,
well,
they will go to the link. They'll read through the introductory part of it, and it's a very short application. It really is. It's a lot of contact personal information and stuff that we absolutely need. We try really hard to match people to what they want to do, what their skills and abilities are. There's places, even like if you have special needs, you broke your leg or something like that, we can always find a spot for you. We just need to know that kind of stuff. And so on the application, you have that ability to do that. You can capture all that information. And it's really important to sell yourself, especially if we don't know you, we've never worked with you. It's very important that you give us a good idea of what you can do, what you're interested in, and we can try to find you a spot.
Yeah, 100%, especially that getting to know you part, especially as a first-time volunteer. It's like really important that you fill that out because we don't know who you are, what your skill set is or anything, and little things that you can tell us like that can match you to an ideal team. And there are a lot of teams, and we're going to break those down later on in the show. But now another thing I wanted to ask you about, what about availability versus schedule? Now, everybody should know that you have to have 16 hours total through the weekend, but that doesn't necessarily mean full con hours. So can you kind of explain that to me?
Okay, so yeah. So I should have mentioned also that you have to be 18 to apply for legal reasons. But for availability, the application is asking for your availability, and we need a commitment of a minimum of 16 hours through the con. And there's a lot of different avenues that you can get those hours. You don't have to work straight back to back to back, but we need a good solid availability from you, because we depend on every volunteer, to be there, to show up, and to really get in there and be excited about what you're doing. The difference between availability is you're going to be assigned to a team, and your team lead is going to create your schedule. So they will look at your availability and they will try to match it up to when they create a schedule. And that's the hours you're going to work. now I've seen some questions talking about, could you still get a photo op and stuff like that? Because, those are limited hours. And if you're scheduled to work during that, you don't want to miss out on a lifetime, a lifetime experience. So you can always work with your team lead, and you can skip off and go do it and then come back. They will more than willing to help you be able to do the things that you want to do.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know that a lot of people talk about, like, you're available like for these amount of hours, but not these amount of hours. The online application gives you the ability to almost create your own schedule. Now, you still have to have 16 hours total through the weekend, but there's blocks in there that's like, I can work until 1. I can work all day. I can work until I can work from like 5:30 to 9:30. Like there's variations through your schedule there that allows you to customize your schedule, right?
Yeah, and remember that the only caveat to that I do want to say is that there are a couple teams that require full availability, and that would be like the handlers, and that would be like Stars Security. We need those folks. We're there for the stars, and they are the boots on the ground people that are wrangling these people and being there for them to make sure they get where they need to go. So that's like a full availability. Now, not all the teams are like that. You can, pretty much do a regular schedule. But there's some teams that do require full availability.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know all of my people work pretty much from open to close, Wes, you got anything?
Let's go ahead and take our commercial break. When we come back, I do want to add one thing though before we go. Go ahead and I don't even have to be on camera. I don't care. We have added. You took actually, I finally got something done at Scarefest. We added early and late hours. Every year I see people try to volunteer and they say, well, I don't get off work. I have to work Saturday till noon. In other words, they don't, but they say I'm available, late, or I'm available early. This year, we did add time slots where if you can be there nice, bright, and early to help us with basically line building or setup or something, that's on the application. If you can stay late, we don't need a lot of people after hours usually, but if that's when you can work, you might be able to make up your deficit in your 16 by helping us out after hours. So I wanted to get that in there. Now, a little message from Rue Morgue.
Are you a fan of horror movies, books, comics, music, and collectibles? Rue Morgue magazine is for you. Subscribe today to receive 6 or 12 print issues annually and join me, executive editor Andrea Subisati, on an ongoing journey through the horror genre of the past, present, and future. Plus, get access to unmissable special editions such as A Century of Witches, 50 Years of Gore Cinema, British horror movies, and so much more. Rue Morgue, the world's premier horror and culture and entertainment magazine since 1997. Accept no substitute.
Now, first of all, our first question from the chat room has absolutely fucking nothing to do with Scarefest, but I'm going, don't mean to bust your balls there. Somebody asked about volunteering for Vet CityCon because we are affiliated with them. That you'd have to go to offbeathorror.com, talk to the people that we don't handle their volunteer program. So just so you know, we just do not, we sponsor them, we set up there, help them out. But as far as volunteers, they're on their own. So if you're interested in volunteering for them, have at it. Now, I have pulled up on my screen here the team assignment and availability thing. So we're just going to go through them, people, and let you hear what we know about the teams individually and with the kind of people and kind of the hours that are required on those teams. Events and entertainment. Now, before we start on it, I'm going to say this is one I would think would have like 100 people try to volunteer for it because it sounds like fun. And usually by the time the show gets here, they've got like 2 volunteers listed. So, what events and entertainment, what do they handle, Lori?
They handle all of the fun stuff during the events. They coordinate. They mostly coordinate. So there's not necessarily a lot of being up on stage and stuff, even though Stephanie does an excellent job of that when needed, but they coordinate events. And so they don't necessarily need a lot of people, but they need people like bodies to be on stage and to make sure that things go off. And if there's any issues, then to coordinate like microphones, or if they're to troubleshoot things that can possibly go wrong. So it's not like they are entertainers, they are just coordinating the entertainment.
But I'm trying to figure out what, because it doesn't, my team ends up jumping in and helping every year. And I mean, I'm just one, it seems like that is one of the teams that has the highest rate of no-shows. In other words, people sign up for it.
Yep.
But when the con doors open, those people are not there, and I do not understand why, but on that particular team. Because, honestly, if it wasn't for offering to help Adam line build, I'd kind of like to jump over and help work with Lori. I mean, Lola.
Stephanie.
Lola, yeah.
Lola. She's Lola to me. Yes. And I'm not even going to go into it. I'm just saying, wonderful, wonderful gal with a hell of a tattoo.
I do want to say something about you. You mentioned the word no-show.
Mm-hmm.
And I do want to reiterate, to kind of mention that no-shows do go against you for any future applications. Mm-hmm. This is my 4th year, and I'm tracking y'all. So I know who's shown up, I know who hasn't, and that does affect any future volunteer positions and applications. So just keep that in mind.
Yes, and one is an island. You can't just make your own rules as you go.
And that is a problem. Like, no showing is a problem. We call it, what do we call it on my team? Attrition? Is that what it's called? Anyways.
Well, attrition's the actual word for it.
Well, yeah. So, I mean, we would get 40 people to, volunteer and 21 show up. Like,
right.
It's a real problem.
It's huge. It's a huge problem. And the bad thing about it is because we plan for the people that get assigned to a team, this event cannot run without volunteers. And when you sign up, when you agree to be on a team, we need people there. We need them to show up and to really help,
Mm-hmm.
So no shows are a big issue.
Okay. Now, next on the list, and people, you don't have to write this shit down. When we open the volunteer applications on scarefestweekend.com, I'm literally just going down the list on the application. So we're not offering any secret information here. Okay. Now the handlers. The handlers is the sexy job of the con, which incidentally is one of the harder jobs of the con. For one, as you mentioned about having to be there. It also involves a lot of getting up and down on your feet. Tell them about handlers, but then we'll also tell them the strict requirements on handlers.
Yeah, the handlers, they handle the stars. They're sitting there by the stars, and each star has a different need. Some of them need you to handle money. Some of their agents handle money. But we need, part of the job is to make sure that the star shows up for their panel, shows up for their photo op. They work hand in hand with Stars Row Security and runners and all of them to make sure that star is taken care of and all of their needs are met. As far as requirements, yes, that's a full requirement. You take your breaks when your star takes their break, and so we do have people that can come in and sit if you need to excuse yourself for a few minutes. But the other caveat is that is generally open to return volunteers only that are in good standing, that have proven themselves to show up and to be responsible, because the handlers are the face of Scarefest. And so you can really, make a good thing, a good impression with the star and the agent if you're there, and you're reliable and responsible.
And now I'll add a little caveat to that. If for some reason, why is Adam always out of focus on the Instagram feed? we were talking about it, and one of the things is you actually, now if, let's say this was your first year at Scarefest, but you'd volunteered at other conventions. Give us that reference. That'll help a whole lot right there. If you don't have any experience with it, but you're a nice upstanding citizen otherwise, if you know several of the volunteers that will go in and bat for you, that's another way you might be able to get that position. It's one of the, I'm going to say it's one of the sexier positions, but it is one of the harder ones because you, as you just pointed out, you got to be there. One of the major things that most handlers don't realize is going to happen. People are going to hand you their cell phone and say, "Hey, will you take my picture?" And so it's not all sitting behind a table. I never even thought about that until I forget who it was telling me. I haven't sat down all goddamn day. And that's, they're just running back and forth in front and behind the table. So, so that's handlers. It's a great thing. We consider it a promotion when we move somebody there. So just to give you an idea, but it is I'm going to use the word grueling. Not that I actually know the dictionary definition of it, but that is, and also, go ahead.
I'll be honest with you because I've done everything. I've done every position at Scarefest, and handlers was one of my least favorites. Not because of the stars. I loved working with the stars. I loved the people, and to see the excitement and when they walk up to that table and they get to meet the star, and it's a wonderful experience. But I have so much nervous energy, and it was really hard for me to sit there behind that table. So that was not my cup of tea, but. Yeah. And
okay, the reason I could never be a handler, and this also takes a certain amount of, we'll call it professionalism. You said it. You are the face of Scarefest there. The people are walking up. And so, no, that means you can't, nobody wants your baby stroller behind the table. Nobody wants you to sit there with Cousin Ed, because he needs a place to drop off his autographs. That is the Stars booth. And that your job is to do the Stars stuff. Could you say?
Yeah, you're basically a personal assistant for that weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
To the star, specifically solely to the star that you're assigned to.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually it is a fun job. Like it is a lot of work. Don't get me wrong. You're up and down all day, especially if you get one of our more popular headliner stars. You're going to work a lot. You are, but you also get behind the scene access to stuff that people don't see, and you get to hear things that people don't usually hear, which is part of our NDA, which is why you have to fill out an application. So that's neither here nor there.
It's true. I do have a funny story about Betsy Palmer specifically when she was here. I remember the girl that was her handler, and Betsy got so turned around from her hotel that Cynthia would have to go to her room and pick her up in the morning and be with her all the time, and then take her back to her room at night because she would get so turned around getting to and from her room. And so that's a little above and beyond, but that is something that could very well happen.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from the chat room, explain who gets what celeb. There is no explaining it. Adrian basically assigns you. Occasionally, a celebrity, if they're returning especially, may even ask for a certain handler they had, or even had at another convention. I've seen that happen. But that's in the behind the scenes stuff that we can't cover here. We try. We have learned over the years certain celebs you can't put hot women at their table. Just saying. Okay. Hospitality. This is one I'm going to say. If you don't want a lot of crowd interaction, this would be a good spot for it.
Sure. So Meredith is the team lead for that, and they are responsible for food coordination, and that is food for the green room for the stars. That is food for the staff. That is that is like our lifesavers for those of us that actually get to eat a little bit during the weekend. They are saving grace. And they seem to have a fun time. Like last year, they were set up out in the parking lot, and they just catered to our needs, and they coordinated so well, and they just had a blast doing it.
When it's I think what I've gathered it because I keep coming back. Some of them, it's a great job if it's staffed well enough. Now, a couple of years we've been a little light on that team, and that team can work a person to death if they don't have a team behind them.
Well, yeah, especially, that was when they were actually running the food themselves. And, sometimes we had like off-site hospitality places and stuff, but they've got a really slick process in place, and it has made it so much easier for everybody involved. And yeah, they seem to have a good time this year.
Meredith Blackwell is one of the most organized people I've ever
She is.
worked
I
with.
agree.
So.
She's awesome. She is awesome.
Okay, moving on. The information booth.
The information
I don't like
booth.
the team lead over there.
Mary Jane's going to snatch you bald-headed. Oh, my goodness. That's funny. The team lead for that is Mary Jane Snyder, and she is awesome. She's phenomenal. She does everything. She's just wonderful. That team is almost the heart and soul of Scarefest. They are a booth where if an attendee or a star or a staff member, anybody has a question, they go to that booth. They can tell you schedules. They can tell you what's going on where. They can tell you all the details about what's going on and when. And they're a phenomenal group. I will say, in the past, on the back of the badges, the attendee badges and staff badges, there's a QR code, and that really helps with the schedule and stuff. And, I've even seen the info booth people show attendees how to use that, so they are very
I want that to be a requirement. If someone walks up and asks a question that has anything to do with
schedule,
they can just look at their badge and get the information.
Yes.
And I'm guilty of it. I cannot tell you how many times I've gone to convention and said, well, what time do we close today? And it's printed on the goddamn badge. So.
It is. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, basically, I would say the biggest requirement for that team is to be literate, to be able to read, because we will have all the information on the website. Yeah,
and literate, you need to have a little bit of computer savvy, because I did see Mary Jane last year. She has a computer set up, and they go to the website, or they look up whatever they need to look up. So a little bit of computer savvy is important. And the number one thing is to be customer service oriented. You've got to be able to interact with everybody from every level, and just kind of help everybody. So customer service is the number one for that team.
Yeah.
And a little knowledge of the con helps as well. Like
yes.
knowing the con itself, like returning people who have been to Scarefest multiple times, they're great for the info booth because they already kind of got a gist as to how this flows, and they can help with that. So just food for thought.
Yep, that's true.
Okay, as to not disappoint the fans, we're going to take a quick break here to do our celebrity and otherwise announcements. Okay, tonight is reunion night. Basically, we're tacking on to reunions we've already started. Our first announcement, Duncan Regehr. Duncan Regehr, I hope I'm saying that right, but that's the way Google told me to say it. He is, of course, Count Dracula from the Monster Squad. Count Dracula from the Monster Squad. So we've nailed a little bit extra onto there. Now, if you're coming for the Grimm series, we have Reggie Lee coming in, who played Sergeant Sergeant Drew Wu. That's a terrible, terrible name for a TV character. But Reggie Lee from the Grimm series is going to be there. He's also, as recently as The Lincoln Lawyer, which incidentally, I love that series. Nothing to do with horror, just saying. He's in that. And our last announcement of the evening, Billy Worth of The Lost Boys. Adding a little bit there. The Lost Boys. He played Dwayne in The Lost Boys. So we have Billy Worth. Now, The Warren's Occult Museum, of course, we've already announced they're coming. Just to clarify a few things, yes, that is the real Annabelle doll. Yes, it will be in a big wooden case locked up. So no, as someone in the chat room or one of the posts said, you may not pick it up and toss it at anybody because you will literally kill them because it is in a wooden box, and wooden boxes do not play well. But yeah, they got all kinds of spiritual stuff they do to make this stuff safe to haul around. So no, the world will not end because we're bringing Annabelle to the convention. Just going to throw that out there. This is a separate ticketed item. This is a separate ticketed tour. The tickets are, I didn't pull up on the website to see if it's linked yet, but it is all over Facebook. So any place you find the ad on Facebook for the museum, you will find the link to get that as an add-on. But I just wanted to put that out there that the Warren Occult Museum, yes, those tickets are on sale. The only thing left on my little calendar are, of course, our staff and volunteer applications are starting April 1st. And also we'll be taking applications for Scarefest Ink Tattoo Artist. That's also a thing. And people, that's going to be a bigger deal this year. We're giving it its own room on the lowest level. So it's not just kind of part of the convention now. It's going to be practically its own thing. Rewind time. Toy and Collectibles Show. This is Adrian's little pet project. Unique finds, vintage toys, collectibles, Funko Pops, sports memorabilia, stamps, Pokemon, Masters of the Universe. I remembered what Motu
Nailed
means.
it.
Okay. Star Wars, Barbie, okay. Diecast, VHS, all kinds of stuff. It was really interesting. I don't guess I bought anything last time I went because I got enough shit laying around. But it was fun to look at this stuff. It was really, it brought back some of even my childhood, Adam. Even my childhood. They had like a coal-powered television, you know. Anyway, I'm kidding.
Oh, wow.
Saturday, April 12th, 11 a.m. to 6 p.m., $5 admission. Yeah, and they also, now she's doing an early bird for $10. I did not see that before. So yeah, it's like VIP. But anyway, rewind time. Mark that on your calendar. This weekend, I'll be at Vet CityCon in Bowling Green, Kentucky. OffbeatHorror.com for more information. Myself and Joanna, my co-host Joanna, will be there all day tomorrow. I'm not doing bad tarot card readings, but I will have my t-shirts and we'll have some stuff, some swag, some Scarefest swag. We'll be handing out cards, basically trying to sell our tickets. But Vet CityCon, if you're not doing nothing tomorrow and the weather is supposed to be kind of questionable, you're not going to be mowing your yard, hey, come on down to Bowling Green and visit with us. After tonight's show, head over to YouTube and check out the new Fear the Talking Heads horror podcast. Now, they're like blackballing her in the search results, but if you type in at Fear the Talking Heads, after YouTube.com, yes, you can find it. And if you can't remember that, go to scarefestradio.com and look what I stuck on the front page of the website. Yes, there is a big old link to the Fear the Talking Heads horror podcast. Today's edition is Horror in Review, Jeffrey Combs. So, check that out, people. And finally, I do want to remind everybody that the Central Kentucky Mystical Market is coming up April 19th. It's a Saturday only, all-inclusive decorating and egg decorating, of course, and fun hunt for all ages. I'm trying to picture in my head what the all-age egg hunt is. I don't know.
We would be included as old people.
I'm not bending over to pick up no goddamn egg. Okay. Saturday, though, on April 19th, and Saturday, 11 to 6 p.m. So mark that on your calendars also at the new location, 1165 Center Parkway. Google it, 1165 Center Parkway in Lexington, Kentucky's premier psychic and artist market. Check them out next month, or this month, next month. It's like, it's almost April. Now, okay, back to what we were doing. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Scarefest TV. And we are talking about what is available in the volunteer spectrum of the organization. And this is what makes the event happen. Let's just get right down to it. Without volunteers, it doesn't even reach the height of train wreck. but we are famous for having the best volunteers in the business.
Oh, I thought you were going to say best train wreck.
Well, as far as train wrecks go, we do pretty good.
As far as train wrecks go.
It's like we caught hell for having bad line building last year on Friday, and every other convention in the United States has the same freaking line problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't even listen to people anymore. Okay, information, media, my department. I am the team lead for the media department, although I don't know why. Good Lord, what is driving by? Includes the media check-in, which that's an easy one. You sit there with a list of people, and it's like the bouncer at a nightclub. You just check your list, and if they're on there, you say yes, and if they're not on there, you say no. It takes like one, maybe two people to do that. But we're also in charge of the film festival, and that just basically means getting people in and out of the film room. It's not a hard job, but it's an all-day job. Photography. Now, on the photography, you have to have a professional grade equipment. We're not going to make you a photographer with your cell phone. And you actually have to we want you to be a photographer. Lots of people own really nice cameras and don't know how to use them. Just going to throw that out there. But we will, if you can show us a little portfolio of your work, kind of work you turn out. Yes, you can't. We do have photographers. Now, this is not wander the floor stuff. Jonathan Crocetti is in charge, and he actually makes sure we have photographers where we need them, when we need them. We're still working on videography. Excuse me. If you have your own video camera, and when I say video camera, you could pull it off with a cell phone on that. If you've got, I'd like to see you have the rig that actually helps you stabilize it.
The gimbal.
Yeah. Well, it can't be mine ain't a gimbal though. Mine's just a nice little handle with a microphone. The point is, we are still trying to get into videography, but we're at this point to be on the team for that. You're going to supply your own camera. Now, if you actually have a video camera, God bless your heart, you're hired. But that's still kind of in development. Now, videography is in charge of making sure that the streaming happens at the panels and seminars. You kind of make sure nobody kicks over the laptop. Not a lot of work involved, but it does involve somebody actually checking on it. And the black carpet event, that's photography. Although if you're really hot chick, I can get you a ticket. 'Cause we're always needing hot chicks for the black carpet. So anyway, the media covers a lot of stuff. Line building is kind of folded in on that, but seminars, that's a separate department. We'll get into that in a minute. But media there, if any of those things sounded remotely fun, media is we're one of the Swiss Army knives. And if another team needs somebody to help out, we usually peel somebody out and send them along. Okay, the merch department. This is another one that we've actually had a little trouble getting staffed, and I think it's because it just doesn't sound sexy.
But it is.
It is very sexy. It is a cool area because you get to see the merch. You get to see the merch. You get to touch the merch. You get to see everything before everybody else does, and that's kind of cool. You need to be a good salesman and know how to ring out people and take their money. And it's right out. It's been right out in the spine, and you get to see everybody coming and going. You're kind of like in the middle of everything.
Now this year, I do know we're moving the merch table down to the lower level, so you will actually be right next to the panel room. You'll be next in that little hub of activity down there. Everybody, when they go out to the food trucks, it won't be hard to go eat.
Yeah.
But okay, that's where the merch booth is going to be this year.
And a much bigger space.
Yeah,
awesome.
Much bigger space. And the I would say the main thing about it, if you got any retail experience, and I think damn near everyone does in today's world. But yeah, if you've had any customer service retail type experience, this is a great way to get it. And except during certain rush times, now there are times when they're busy as fuck. There's no getting around it. But I don't think it's one of those that all day long you're just swamped.
No, but you get to see everybody coming and going and all the costumes and
Oh yeah.
Oh my gosh. And it's, I mean, it can be busy, and I personally, I like to be busy. So that, yeah, it's a cool little area. And Rebecca Grooms, I don't know if I said that or not. Rebecca Grooms, she's the team lead for that. And she is very organized, and she gets that little area set up and just like clockwork.
Adam, let's talk about runners. I think you've had more to do with the runners than I probably have.
My angels, yes. Let's talk about runners. So the runner's job and responsibility solely is to just take care of the floor, to run it. Now, I know that sounds like the worst thing you could ever think of. I'm going to run around the floor all day. But you also have the ability to, you're one of the very few people that can actually walk up to a celebrity without a line and say, "Are you okay? Do you need anything?" That's really their number one job, take care of the celebrities. And they take care of all of them. My angels run all over the floor. I didn't name them that. They named themselves that. Don't come at me. But they run around the floor. They distribute water, sodas. Sometimes they run and get food, different this and that's for celebrities. They take care of our staff when they're running by. You can flag them down and say, "Hey, can you get me a bottle of water?" 9 times out of 10, they've got one. They're very hospitable people. It is a lot of time on your feet, and you're moving. It is a fast-paced job, but it's also it's kind of like going into war and surviving, because you will survive. At the end of the day, you're going to make it through the weekend, okay? But that team particular, they have so many stories of people that they just like walked up to and said, "Hey, can you help me grab this? Hey, can you run and grab that?" You know, all this stuff. They have so many stories, almost as much as security, but we'll get into that later. But yeah, the runners are awesome. They're really cool.
I remember my first involvement with a runner. It was when I first got into what we'll call management. We were working on the black carpet, and I needed something from the booth. And I said, "I got to run to the booth." And Adam says, "Well, get one of the runners to do it." And I'm like, "What?" People would do things for me? I didn't even know that was possible.
They really are angels. I will tell you that. They are just wonderful. They are wonderful. And they're where they need to be. So they're awesome.
Yep, they had backpacks made that said Adam's Angels. It broke my heart. I loved it so much.
Now, we're going to do security with Adam, and then we'll do our movie review. Then we'll come back, and we're going to finish this list, people. We're going to run long, but we want to get all the information out there.
It's important information, people.
Important information. But Adam, let's talk about security. You got 2 divisions of security. I'll let you just take it from there.
Absolutely. So we do have 2 divisions of security. We have general security and Stars Row security. General security, usually they just patrol like the doors of the con. They make sure that our vendor areas is covered. They make sure that the line control is good on the outside and inside of the building. They make sure that there's a flow running in and out of the con. That's their key job, is the flow of the con. They usually sometimes have to walk stars, sometimes have to help people, on escalators when they become stairs all of a sudden, and things like that. That's generally their job, just maintaining the perimeter of Scarefest. That's their whole bread and butter. We call them the orange shirts because their shirts are orange. Now we go to Stars Row Security, or what I still affectionately refer to as the black shirts. They're what we call the elite. So their job is specifically Stars Row. That's why we call them Stars Row Security. They take care of our celebrities. That means moving the celebrities to and from photo ops, to seminars, to panels, things like that. They also do line control for the celebrity booths, and they make sure that our walkways are clear, and they make sure that there's no hanky-panky going on. Now, one of the big things that I hear all the time about Stars Row Security is they wouldn't let me take a picture. You're absolutely right, and they're still not going to. You're never going to be allowed to take a picture on Stars Row unless you're with a star and he says, yeah, let's grab a picture. That's the only way you're going to get one. A lot of our stars, I would say probably 98% of them are under some kind of contract where they can't have pictures taken just willy-nilly at random. Okay, these are people too. They have a job just like we do. And so, yeah, you're going to get a lot of pictures of one of our security guards cutting in front of you, a blur, or sometimes they just get taken. I have smashed 3 cameras in my lifetime, and it's probably not going to be my last, because repeat offenders, we don't like it. So, yeah, their job is that, to protect our image, to protect the way that you all see the con, and to protect our stars. We do crowd control, and we have a good time doing it. Now, both security and Stars Row and general security, they're usually full availability teams. Those are teams that you're not going to get a lot of breaks on. All right. Now, like Lori said, we try to help out with, like, you have a photo op or whatever, we try to cover it. But 9 times out of 10, we're spread thin. Why? Because we lose 18 people that were supposed to be there. So, but they're also the most close-knit teams, in my opinion, on the floors. We watch each other's backs, and we watch you guys' backs, and there's not a lot of us doing that. So that's security in a nutshell. Oh, and we do after-hour parties too.
Oh, you mean the Scarefest parties? I thought you just meant you hang out.
No. Well, okay. Well, fair. Yeah. Well, I meant like actually like securing the parties.
Okay. Before we go to our movie review, I do want to point out a couple of things. A lot of people are probably going, why should I do this? For one thing, this actually counts as a good reference on your resume. We do, we do that for our people. In other words, once you're volunteering, we've got the reports on you, and everybody, your team lead or whoever you'll be able to use them as a point of reference on a job resume, or for another convention. Then the other question was, do Thursday setup count towards your volunteer hours? Yes, anything that you're actually doing, you can even count if you. Nobody comes and helps me fold T-shirts the week before. Actually, we'd had a good team. I shouldn't say that. But a week before the con, we're folding T-shirts for merch. Those hours count. So yes, there are other opportunities. If you're worried about your 16 hours, if you'll stay in touch with us, we can get you those 16 hours probably before the con even freaking opens. So there. Just so
yeah,
you know.
And if not, when it opens, when it closes, I dang sure can get you at least 7.
Yeah, we would really love for a few more of you to stay on Sunday. Period.
That would be great.
Yeah, that would be wonderful. Everybody, we'll be right back. We're going to go to our movie review. He's got The Monkey, which I've never heard of.
Hey, Scarefest. This is Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly with a movie I actually went to the theater and saw I got away from work on a late Tuesday, and it was great. I was by myself at the Regals. There's just one person in the theater. Finally, I got to watch The Monkey, the new movie from Osgood Perkins, and I loved his movie before this, Longlegs. I talked about it last year. Not a horror film, definitely a dark comedy. This is also just black comedy, dark comedy. So should you see Osgood Perkins, The Monkey? I was so excited about seeing this. And then I love the first 20 minutes of it when they're kids and they're explaining things. And I was getting into it, and then they become adults. And I was like, oh, damn it. Kind of like it. When they become adults, you're like, oh, I like it when it's kids. So here's the problem with The Monkey. A monkey, they don't explain anything. It's based on a short story I kind of remember in a few books ago from Stephen King. I read almost all Stephen King. And it's basically this magical mechanical monkey that when it stops beating, it kills people. You never know who it's going to kill. There's really no rules. It says if you're the one that winds it up, you won't be the one that kills, but who knows? Because nothing's explained. And these two twin brothers who hate each other inherit this monkey from their dad that's kind of explained in a prologue, who was gone, went out for a pack of cigarettes and never came back. And they're just trapped with this monkey. The monkey ends up killing people around them. They throw the monkey into a well, and then we catch back up with them as adults. I think Osgood Perkins is a talented filmmaker. This is not a bad movie. Yes, you should watch it. It's just not as good as I hoped it would be, and here's the reason why. Theo James, who plays the older twins, fantastic performance. Tatiana Maslany, I can't say her name, as the mom, oh my God, she's so good. Elijah Wood is even in this movie. Everybody is so good in this movie. And the blood, there's so much blood, so many deaths. This is like National Lampoon's meets Final Destination in a way. And I was trying to figure out, why am I looking at my phone 45, 50 minutes in it? Because I hate doing that at theater. I hate other people who do it. But I kept like, oh, well, I don't, yeah, see what time it is. How much left? How much left? And what it is, as much as I love all those things, their narrative just is weak. You kind of have to have a strong narrative for 90 minutes to contain your interest. If it's 30 minutes, then this is perfect. But for 90 minutes, about minute 45, you're just kind of, oh, what time is it? Do I recommend it? Yes. Good as long legs? No. You need a stronger narrative. There's just no rules for the monkey. And I get it. It's a happenstance. It's hazard. And, there's so many good lines in this movie. So many quotable lines. Death sucks. We're all going to die, and that sucks. We're all going to die, and it just says it all over and over and over. And this is true. We are all going to die. You need a little bit more of, what are they fighting for? They're trying to get rid of the monkey. Well, they know they can't get rid of the monkey. And the resolution between the two twin brothers at the end of, oh, I never kind of thought of it that way. It's funny, but it's weak for a narrative for 90 minutes. It's a great sketch. It's a great little short. But when you need to invest an hour and a half into something, you kind of need, this is where it's going. You need a little bit more of a plot. It's a fun experience. I enjoyed it so much. I just needed more of a story. I didn't need, and don't get me wrong, I don't need more of the backstory about the monkey. I like the fact that we don't know jack about the monkey, but you kind of have to have a little bit more invested. Why are these two brothers? Just the reasons are a little bit, if I hadn't have liked Longlegs so much, I probably would be a little easier on this movie. I just think Osgood Perkins is such a talented person. Really just immensely talented. It's going to make some really good movies. I can't wait to see his another one. If you stay past the credits, there's a short snippet trailer for his next movie that I will see. I will see it as soon as I can, because I like this movie. It's just kind of a letdown after Longlegs, because I know he can do better. This has been Joe Lewis of Bonehead Weekly. Watch The Monkey if you're into blood and jokes and some really good acting. Just not as good as Longlegs. Ta-ta.
And we're back. We're talking volunteers tonight on Scarefest TV. From the chat room, it was asked, what if people get sick or have an unexpected hardship? It is not necessarily a black mark, but I hate to tell you, but in the age of social media, we know if you're a big fucking crybaby or not. All we got to do is look at your Facebook, and if every other week you're, and as Joe pointed out in the chat room, okay, if you say, oh, I'm sick, I can't do my job, and then you're going shopping for the rest of the day at Scarefest, we might consider that a black mark.
And we know, trust me, we know.
So yeah, it's not a black mark. We're humans too, but right. if there are clues if you're faking it or abusing it.
And if something should happen, I mean, stuff happens. Life happens, surgeries, car wrecks, gosh forbid, all that. Just let us know in the age of social media. Let your team lead know. Let me know. Let somebody know where you are and what's going on. So that
I would say communication is absolutely the key to it. If
yes.
That's absolutely. I had somebody last year spent all summer warning me they didn't think they could be there for Friday. They ended up showing up, but I mean, they were worried to death that they were going to let me down by not being there Friday. So yeah, it's communication.
Hey, at least they were communicating with you, though.
Right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I said, don't worry about it. You're cool. You're great. Seminars and panels. I'll take this one. Seminars and panels. 90% of seminars and panels, other than making sure that people go into and out of the room on time, making sure that nobody fights over the VIP seating, which we need signs for that, Adrian. We got to remember to print signs for that. It's line building. Basically, it's a small team that does line building. This year's going to be a little bit harder. We have 2 floors to cover, second floor and the lower level. So that team will need to be a little more spread out. And I have a little surprise for you all. You know that table you sit at on the second level all weekend? We're putting a we're putting an info sign on that table so people will bug you. You're not going to sit there all freaking weekend.
We're going to pitch it to work.
Yeah, we're going to make you work even between seminars, even between panels. But seriously, if you need, that is one of the jobs that, I don't want to say it's easy, but it's really kind of easy. You have little spurts of activity. Sometimes a big panel takes a little extra effort. But otherwise, it's just a matter of keeping the traffic flowing in those hallways. That's 90% of the job.
Yep.
See, tattoos. Lori, this one is definitely your category. Tattoos. What do we need there?
Lori used to be over the tattoos, by the way, guys, if you didn't know.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's
her and her one guy.
Oh my gosh. And that was a struggle. The tattoos is a really cool area. They do tattoos right there on the floor. And you can sign up right there at the convention and to get a tattoo done. So the staff that's there, Megan Carpenter is the team lead for that area. And we have people assigned to that area mostly for things we can't think of. We are the first line if someone gets hurt, if someone gets sick, if something happens, you are like the first line of trying to take care of issues like that. There's also, at least in the past, they have had competitions, like tattoo competitions. And so the staff there is also responsible for taking pictures of their entries and getting it to the judges. So it's a little bit, it's not a taxing job. There is a lot of sitting. You sign up people, you coordinate schedules, you help the tattoo artists and you help the attendees get where they need to go and stuff like that. So it's not a taxing job, but it is a very important job.
And Adrian already mentioned that we're going to have more tattoo contests this year. So yeah, that job's going to be in demand.
By moving it
Very
down
exciting.
to that lower level and making it more of its own thing, we put a lot more emphasis on it. And that takes warm bodies to make it happen.
It does.
Now, I will say the people that are at the tattoo now, Megan will create a schedule for that. Tattoos, you can't exactly, okay, we're going to close the doors at such and such time. The con's over. Sometimes those tattoos are a little bit longer than you expect. So there is a possibility that you may have to stay a few minutes later until that tattoo artist is done with their current client.
I was just thinking, no, shut the doors, throw them out. And they got like half a Freddy,
Oh my gosh. Well, it's been a struggle when it was on the main floor. And of course, General Security is trying to usher us all out, because you don't want attendees walking around booths that are unattended and all that kind of stuff. And here's the tattoo area, and they're trying hard to get done, but you
faster.
You can't rush artists. You just can't do that.
I just remember Redbeard being been over there until like midnight one night working on this chick's thigh. I was like, geez, man, come on.
Yep, that, and he came in like really, really, really early, even before we opened, and we would sneak him in so that we could. Yeah, I mean, it's a team that you have to be flexible on. You just got to do what you need to do, to be helpful.
But I would guess, and I don't know that many tattoo. I would say they're a pretty cool group of people to work with.
Oh, they are fantastic. I'm just saying the ones that we have had, even in the years we only had one or two, whatever, they have just been fantastic people. They are so interesting, and their art is just out of this world. And I really enjoy that area myself.
Next up, we're talking the ticket booth, ticketing, the ticket team, a customer service forward-facing role assisting our attendees with their purchases of tickets and admission, processing pre-convention hours. And yeah, there's a lot of pre-convention hours there. This, you want to say it's one of the more stressful jobs for about 2 hours a day?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I would say it's probably the most stressful job for about 2 hours a day next to line building. like our security and line building team. Next to that, ticket booth is probably for about 2 hours is probably one of the most stressful and high-paced jobs that we have. But that's also, again, one of the funnest jobs because you see everyone. You are the first face of Scarefest
literally
that they interact with. You see it all.
And I do think that's a team that once we get out of that rush, like early in the day, that's a team. Okay, people that are worried, will I have time to enjoy the convention? That's a team that I'd say that is much more conducive to that. As far as after you need extra warm bodies early in the day, early when the convention opens to get people in the building. But once they're in, then it's kind of a steady flow, and it takes a smaller team later in the day. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Tell us about transportation, Adam.
Absolutely.
And logistics. I'm sorry. This team is being renamed to transportation and logistics.
And logistics. That's right. So it's a two-parter, I guess, for me then. So transportation, we'll start there, is basically exactly what it sounds like. So your job is going to be to move, shuttle, and or drop off or pick up at the airport celebrities. You're going to either drive or ride up to one of our airports, be it Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati. Those are usually the three that we use. And we pick up celebrities and bring them back to our convention or to their hotel or what have you. Then when they're ready to come to the convention in the mornings, we go pick them up from the hotel. We bring them to the convention. We drop them off. During the day, sometimes a person's got to run back to their hotel room and grab something. They run out of pictures or whatever, which is great. We love when they run out of pictures because that means they're selling and we need to go get more. And then at the end of the night, we take them all back, drop them off. Sometimes we take them to restaurants and get them food, things like that. But that's transportation in a nutshell. It's the moving blood of the stars. We move them to and fro. That's what they do. Logistics is a little different. Now, logistics, I've kind of went into this when I was on last, but basically what it is we set up and tear down the con. Anything that moves, that's our job. So I fold logistics into like setting up the props, making sure that the lines are moving, setting up all the chairs when they got to be set up, breaking them all down, making sure all the signage is correct, things like that. That's all logistics.
I didn't even know it was a separate team. I thought we just stole everybody else. It was like, wait, you've not left yet.
Well, that happens every year. Absolutely. Can you stick around for another 4 hours? We could really use some help.
Hey, Adam, what's the criteria for those that are shuttling stars around? Do they have to have?
Yeah, so you need to have a good, valid driver's license. It has to be current and up to date. You need to have a proof of insurance on the vehicle that you'll be driving. And your vehicle has to go through an inspection by our team lead, who is Mackenzie, or by myself. It has to be approved for travel, basically. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to want, when's the last time we changed oil, all that stuff. It's basically we want a clean, smoke-free environment that our stars can get in and be comfortable driving it. Basically, we don't want you to pull up in a rusted-out Dodge Caravan and have splits going down the seats and put one of our celebrities in it.
No white vans with
no. Well, I mean, panel vans are
stranger danger.
Panel vans are optional. We have things we need to move as well. It's another subcategory of logistics.
True.
We can work with that.
And that's why I've never been on the transportation team. Clean vehicle. I remember I think we were going to Louisville up to the big one that used to be up there. And Brandon, and so basically I had to go up there first and take all the stuff. So Brandon sent me in his car. And then, so he was going to use my car to go across town, and he got in it. And let's just say I hadn't emptied the ashtray since like 1985. He said, I guess it was okay to smoke in your car, huh? So I'm just saying, not a big cleanliness freak in my car. Okay, the vendor department, the vendor team. Let's talk about the vendor team.
The vendors. The team lead for that is Diana Geiger. She's awesome. And they check in vendors. They take care of vendor issues. They do everything and anything to do with vendors. They give them their badges and their packets and make sure that they are where they need to be. They set up early. I think vendors, I think they come in around Wednesday, Thursday, something like that. They come in early before
it's
the
Thursday. Yeah,
Okay.
it's Thursday, and then because it also needed heavily Friday morning.
Yeah. So they're kind of, that's a team that is definitely outside of con open hours, because they are needed all hands on deck before, during, and after the con to get them loaded out too. So that's a really important team, and Diana, she does a great job with it.
And finally, the volunteer team. What do you end up doing, Lori?
Everything. We do everything. We have our table that we have back there. We have the sign in and out sheet. As a volunteer, you have to come and sign in and out every day, or we don't know you're there. And then we go back to future applications and stuff like that. We just do a little bit of everything. Last year, I was actually down in the seminar area doing general security duties. We did line wrangling out front. We did Q&As out front. We just go where we need to go. And, but we take care of the volunteers if there's any issues. We've had a couple volunteers that have, needed some medical assistance, so we make sure we stay with them. We make sure that they get what they need. We contact who needs to be contacted, and so we focus on the volunteers. Of course, we answer questions for everybody, but our heart and soul is taking care of the volunteers and making sure that they are happy and healthy.
Oh,
we love our volunteers. We really do love our volunteers.
So now we're okay. What was you going to say, Lori?
I just wanted to say that, speaking of volunteers, we do love our volunteers. I have volunteered myself for many conventions, and I've always had good experiences. But what is different about Scarefest is that we are a family. And I know that sounds so freaking hokey, but it's not. It's a true thing. And if somebody needs help, it doesn't matter what team you're on. There's usually somebody there that will pitch in and help you do whatever, or answer your question, or it is a community, it is a family, and it's something that I'm very proud of.
Absolutely. I say it every year during our big stand-up meetings on the Wednesday before Scarefest. You guys are like family. You're my family, and I'll protect you just like I would my own family. And I don't even like my family.
I love your family.
I love my family. I'm kidding. Everybody knows that.
Okay, now so in closing now, what we're going to do, we're going to give you some, if you're interested in volunteering. Now, if you have any questions, we've been watching the chat room, but if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of us. We'll be glad to answer the questions. You can do it on the Facebook Messenger to the general Facebook account. I'm the one who checks that. So I want to tell you, if you have more questions and you didn't make it in the chat, or you're watching this in replay, we will still be happy to help you. Now, we're going to give you a few tips on getting your application up to par. Now, before we start on what Lori's points are, this was something that was asked. Thursday availability. Yes, the con's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, but you've got all day on Thursday that you could volunteer, and it is broken into time slots. So if you could come after work, 6 to 10 p.m., there's a lot of stuff that goes on Thursday.
There's a lot of stuff that goes on Thursday. Thursday's usually my bag. That's when I pretty much take control of the con floor, and that's when we're setting stuff up. So there's always something to do. And I don't mean that I need your strongest back and you're going to be lifting 50 pounds. No. I've got things going all the way down to sit in this chair and fold this shirt. Like literally, I have something for everybody, kids to senior citizens to, grown burly men to little petite women. I've got something for everybody to do. Trust me.
And if you're, to kind of add on to that, and he kind of mentioned this before, Sunday breakdown. If you cannot, if you don't think you can get your hours in during the regular convention hours, but you're free on Sunday, we can put you to work on breakdown. That is, if I had to pick one point of Scarefest, that is our weakest point, I'm going to say it's Sunday, because everybody is so tired and wants to get out there, go home, and it's a skeleton crew that works miracles, no doubt about it, but it's a long night.
It is.
When we're short-staffed. And a little side story, I remember, it was really bad. When did we start using pods? 2 years ago?
Yeah.
Okay, so 3 years ago, it was really bad. We like to killed ourselves getting that thing broke down. So Brandon came in and said, "Don't worry, it'll be much easier this year. We've got these pods. We won't have to." But he didn't have. We had about half the staff doing it that we had the year before. So it was just as freaking hard. So just saying, that is, if any part of the convention is actually physical grueling for the volunteers, it's whoever stays and helps break down. But if you have a strong back and a weak will.
And the reason why it's so hard is because we take all day Thursday and part of Friday setting up the con. All day. Literally. All day. But the problem is on Sunday night, we got about 4 hours to get out of there.
Yeah. They want us out there by 11 or midnight, whatever it is.
Yeah, that's why it's so hard, because as soon as the con's over, usually before the con's over, we're breaking stuff down.
Yeah.
Because we have a very limited amount of time to get out of there. So we've got to cram a day and a half worth of work in about 4 hours. That's why it's so hard. Now, we do have a system. We have a system that has worked the last 2 years. So, and I refined it again with my team leads over this time. So we have a system. Don't know if it'll work, but we
So anyway,
if it can't go wrong, it will.
That's right.
Now, Lori did have some things she wanted to add about filling in the app.
Yes.
Yeah. I'll make these just as short and sweet as I can. Don't wait until the last minute to submit your application. You don't have to submit your application on April 1st, but please get it in no later than September 1st, because we got to order badges, we got to order staff shirts, we got to order con shirts, we got all this stuff that we got to get for the staffs, and they have to be ordered early, and they got to get in before the event. So please, you don't have to get it in April 1st, but don't wait until October to submit your application.
To add to that, I want to point out, and this is from talking to other conventions, we actually do a little bit of training and maybe a get together through the year. The earlier you're signed up as a volunteer, then you're in on those Zoom meetings, you're in on those in-person meetings.
Yes.
We actually put a little effort into training our volunteers, unlike apparently every other convention in the country.
Which blows my mind. Like, how do you do that? How is your staff that informed if you don't have meetings throughout the year?
I cannot tell you how many conventions I've been to and talking to the volunteers, and they say, yeah, we show up and they hand us a T-shirt.
And they stand there like they have nothing to do. They're just like, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. Yeah.
Wow.
And also, if you wait till last minute, if you have a team that you're looking for, that you want, sometimes they fill up. Yeah. So don't wait till last minute, please. The other thing is use an email address that you are going to check. Make sure that check your spam. If you haven't heard from anybody in a month after you have submitted your application, you check that spam folder. Because I'm going to try to get my staff to reach out to all the volunteers and kind of say, kind of connect the team lead with, what team you're on and all this kind of stuff. But if you haven't heard from anybody in a month, then check your spam folder.
I want to tack onto that. Make sure that you spell everything correctly. Yes. Take the time to read through the application again and make sure that everything's spelled correctly.
Yes, absolutely. And please, a little tip, don't use your work email address as this, because a lot of times I'm finding that the any kind of outside external emails, when we try to reach you, are going to bounce back. They're going to be
They're
blocked.
bouncing back. Yep.
So Gmail is free. Set up a Gmail account and check it.
Well, 90% of the time, 99, everybody except my mother, my 91-year-old mother, has one of these.
Yep.
It is tied to a email account.
Yes.
Whether it's your Apple or on Google, you've got an email account tied to this phone. That means every time you get an email on that, it's going to pop up on your phone. Just saying.
And we will not spam you either. I mean, if when we email, it's about meetings or it's about
most of our people don't
important.
even want to email you. I had to push myself to start actually doing regular I try to do once a month to my people.
Yeah.
But I'm guilty of that, in putting it off, kicking the can down the road. So yeah.
I'm guilty of calling them. I'm guilty of just calling everybody and being like, "Hey, remember this? Okay, good, bye." You know,
That's exactly.
Real guilty of it.
Yeah. And
thanks, Jamie. Shout out, Jamie. Appreciate that.
And that is mark of a good team lead. Oh my gosh. Let's see. If you have to withdraw or cancel your application, that is totally fine. Life happens, crap happens. We understand it. Don't wait till last minute to withdraw your application. When you know you can't make it, you email your team lead, email me, let us know that you can't make it, and then I will cancel your application. Everything will be fine. If you're a no-show, that could affect future applications. So just please withdraw or cancel as soon as you know. And the other thing is Facebook. I've had a lot of people ask about Facebook, and they'll say no, and I know that they do have Facebook. The staff page, you are added to a staff page, and that is like the best place to get all the information of Scarefest that you ever wanted to know. Ask your questions, be a part of it. The only people on the staff page are those with active applications. And so, it's open conversation. You all have already signed the NDAs when you do your application. And so it's, it's a community within itself. And, I'm not a huge Facebook fan, but it is a necessary evil. And it's just the best place. I'm not saying that if you don't have one, that you will not get meeting notices, because I will email out everybody with meeting notices. But you're going to miss a lot of the community feeling of being a volunteer and the excitement of being part of Scarefest. And I've had another question about how you find the link for your Facebook page, because that is on the application. Go to your homepage, your Facebook homepage, go up in the little web browser bar, double click that, copy it, and that is your link for your Facebook page. And those are like the top things that I keep getting asked over and over and over. So hopefully with those tips, that will make it a little bit easier. Like I said, the application's not that long, but it is extremely important. So yeah, that's
need to be added.
Nope.
Come join us. It's a lot of fun. Come join us, guys. It's a lot of fun.
We do have a lot of fun. Hey, and if nothing else, I will tell you this. You might get to see me lose my shit at some point over the weekend. And it can be quite entertaining.
It is. It is. Remember the video camera we were looking for?
Mm-hmm. If anything, you're going to end up with a really great story.
Yeah. Yes. Adam almost got to see me throw a chair last year.
It was awesome.
That close. I would just... But chairs are in short supply, so... Everybody, this has been Scarefest TV. I want to invite you, if you've got time and you've got the energy and you've got the drive, please join us. Join our family as part of the Scarefest team. And the council will be next Friday, and we have a super special announcement to throw your way. And bye.